In this example, we're going to look at finding the surface area for this triangular prism. What makes this one of particular interest is the fact that it's not stacked straight up, but it's stacked long ways. Prisms, generally when they're pictured, you see a triangle. So there's my triangle, and then I stack on it to create a prism. But that's not always the case. In this case, the prism I'm looking at is a series of triangles lined up going forward to create effectively some kind of tent. The objective then is the total surface area of this tent. Now, as a small caution, when you see this in a story problem, look at the story itself and ask yourself which surfaces we might not want to include. Many story problems will have you lead off the base of the tent or leave off the front and the back of it. So be aware of exactly what the question is asking. In this case, I want the total surface area. I want the whole shebang. I'm also going to approach this using lateral area. Remember, when I say lateral area, I'm referring to the wraparound component. In this case, I'm talking about those three sides there, so that when I lay out my tent, I look at the picture I get. The other advantage to this is that if I draw the net, it shows me the objects, the specific faces, that I can then verify that I've gotten all of the areas necessary. So let's go ahead and deconstruct my tent. I'm going to take a box cutter, I'm going to slide on this top piece of the canvas and then lay it out flat. So what I end up with when I'm done is that right there. These right here would represent the sides of my tent. Down here underneath, that's the base of the tent. And this front is now here. So let's go ahead and get that area. Well, first, the tent I know is 40 units back. So I'll draw that on my picture. When I look at how long this rectangle is, well, if I trace my way around, I know this here is 50. I know each of these two sides is 65. So that gives me a total area cutting through here of 65, and 65 is 130, plus 50 puts me at 180. So it's 180 units there in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and help that pop for y'all. There we go. So it's 180 units going across, and it's 40 units tall. Now, other measurements I know, this triangle right here, that height is 60 units. And the base right here is still 50. So now I can start calculating my various areas. Before I do that, I do want to be sure that I've got all of my surfaces here accounted for. So the front and the back of the tent, the base of the tent is here in the middle, and then I've got my two sides of the tent here and here, that folded up to create it. And again, if you have a hard time visualizing, you can always take a piece of paper and fold it into the shape that you're working with. You might need to cut a few extra pieces away or visualize pieces that aren't there. But again, if this is my tent, I can see the triangle on the front, triangle on the back, and when I lay it out, I have three distinct rectangles. I'm making a point not of using any specialized paper for these visualizations. It's perfectly fine to bring a couple pieces of scratch paper to class or to a quiz or a test, and go ahead and take a few minutes to fold them up if you have to, in order to help visualize what you're working with. Now I can go ahead and start calculating my areas. Let's get this lateral area first. Remember, lateral is the wraparound piece. So that's this area here. And that's going to be 40 by 180. It's a rectangle. We can find the area of a rectangle. We've been doing that for years now. So I go ahead and calculate that. My gut wants it to be 7,200. Let's see if my gut's right. 180 times 40 puts me at 7,200 square units. Now that's this lateral piece right here. Now, the front and the back are triangles. Half times the base, which is 50, times the height, which is 60. That's going to give me, I want to say 1,500. Let's see if I'm right. 50 times 60 times a half is 1,500. So 1,500 units on the bottom, or the front. But on the back, it's the same triangle. Another 1,500 units there, or 1,500. So now, when I talk about the total surface area of my triangular prism, I'm going to take 7,200, representing the lateral, 1,500 as the front, 1,500 as the back, add those all together, and that's my total surface area. So, let's go ahead and add those up. I do 1,500 plus 1,500 plus 7,200 gives me a 2, carry the 1, 102,000 square units. Ran out of space there. 10,200. Probably a good thing I ran out of space. Yeah, that is the total surface area of my object. It represents 3 distinct pieces: front, back, and the lateral area. You could also use, just as easily for this, instead of going straight to the 7,200, you could do 65 by 40, 50 by 40, 65 by 40, and add those all together. That would then give you the total area, 10,200. You end up at the same place, and you actually don't do that much more work in the process. You just organize it a little differently. Again, whatever strategy you use, clearly show your work, break it down on the page, and you'll find that it will still work out.